Tell me when you're ready. I'll get away, he's waiting. I learned to love that look, and I can read your signs. We're jumping on the first bus, don't need no one to save us. We're pulling up the curtain that covers this blue sky. Oh, tell me, can you feel we're floating?
This is happening, right? Hang on. Hang on. Oh yeah, baby. Is this happening? Did you have a good time on your vacation? I know, it's getting cold again. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully this doesn't fall.
Just a sparkling rays in the ocean waves. We feel them on our heels here, but they will never get us. We're running fast as lightning. They want to turn back time. There is so much peace here. We're floating through the atmosphere. We lighted on a feather, soaring into space. 'Cause I know that you see
All right.
the world.
Yeah.
is more
Yeah. Come on.
here.
Going for a walk. Yeah, we are. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. Come on. Let's go. Well, good morning, everyone. Oh my gosh. I have to share a few things. First of all, yes, I had a chicken. Actually, that was the second chicken. That's the second chicken. Let me just get my stuff on. That was the second chicken that was in the house hospital. And so the first chicken I told you about, the first chicken is in the hospital because she was nearly pecked to death. Quite literally nearly pecked to death, which is incredible that this is what chickens do. But I would argue that chickens are a small microcosm of human nature. There's pecking orders, there's all these rights of ways, there's all these unspoken terms, unwritten rules. And so she was the weakest and she was getting so abused. And so I finally brought her in because we're finally today, I'm wearing my sweater. See my sweater? And this hat me and my mom bought at this like cool little tiny micro boutique secondhand store where all the ladies that run the store are kind of like higher class, higher upper middle class ladies that volunteer, and they're great. Like I love going there because they're just like so frou-frou and so lovely. And me and my mom always find really great deals, especially in the basement. Like, I got this for 50% off. I love it. I love this hat. Anyway, I know it's a little squirrely, but kind of represents, look at this guy. He just loves going for a walk. He is probably the least groomed he's ever been. The stupid stick. I hate this stick. I tried for the last couple of days to brush him out. Anyway, squirrel all over the place. Back to my chickens. That was the second chicken. This morning I went to feed the girls, my regular morning schedule. Went to bring them the water and the food. And I'm looking at that specific chicken and it's like, okay, if your stomach doesn't do well with like talking about crap and stuff like that, then don't listen to this part. She had this big wad, it was like this big, of crap stuck to her feathers, right under her, I think it's called the chute or something. It's called the vent. I guess their asses are called vents in proper chicken speak. And I'm like, oh no. So I went to feed everybody. I went to feed my other chickens, the younger ones, and fed the older ones. And I went and got some scissors. And I was gonna cut the crap, the big chunk of shit. Like, it literally looked like two big shits that had froze to her feathers. So I know what happened. She went into the nesting box at night. She shat twice. And during the night, the shit stuck to her feathers. And it was so, when I started trying to cut it, it was so close to her skin that there was no way that I was going to be able to cut it. What do you see? What? What do you find? What'd you find? Oh, okay, let's go. And I don't know if this stick is going to hold out today. It keeps like falling. And so I'm like, for God's sakes, I can't leave her like this because it was so heavy. It was pulling on her butt. Like, you know, where the egg comes out and where the crap comes out, they both come out out of the same place, as far as I can tell. And so I'm like, oh, for God's sakes. So I took her inside, and my strategy, my thinking was, I'm just gonna let the shit melt, right? Because it was literally frozen hard. Because right now I think it's like 25 minus. We've actually had it nice. Like this morning it was 28 or so minus. And actually I wanted to come out when the snow was, you know, that gentle snow, that very quiet, gentle snow. I wanted to come out, but I hadn't finished reading, hadn't finished talking with my mom. So I was unable to do that. But I came out now and it's just as beautiful. It's just not as flurrying as before. So I put her, literally, come this way, Odie. Come this way. Yeah, go ahead. I literally was just waiting for it to melt. And I just literally brought her in, put her on the floor, put some food and water. Oh no, and before I did that, I thought, oh, I have another chicken. Like, this is how city-it I am still, very city-it. I have another chicken. So why don't I put that chicken in with this chicken, and then she'll have company, because I could tell she's so depressed. She's so annoyed with me. And it's like, I feel so bad. Sorry, this stupid thing is stupid. And okay, first of all, right off the bat, I'll tell you, big, huge mistake. The one that's been in there for a while. So the chicken that's been in there for over a week, the one that used to be abused, like, just attacked this other one. And I'm like, holy crap, you guys were family just a minute ago, and now you just want to take her head off. So took her out right away. Okay, scrap that idea. So then I went and got a laundry basket, put the chicken on the floor, put some food on the floor, put some water on the floor, put the basket over her, and I let the shit melt. And in about 2 hours, the shit melted onto the floor. Don't worry, we don't really have floors. We have like plywood. Like, when I tell you that we have not moved in yet, I'm telling you we have not. Like, we moved, we live here, but we don't, like, it's still in progress. So shit melted off, and that's why I needed to take my chicken out of my house. I don't usually keep them in the house unless there's an absolute need for it, and I dread the days that I need to bring them in. One time, the very first time we had a chicken in our house was when we still lived down south, and something happened. The chicken's leg was like broken. She couldn't walk on it. It was just like limp, right? So me and my husband, I was so horrified. Me and my husband literally took popsicle sticks. I swear we did this. We taped it up. We made her like a 3-prong prosthetic leg that attached to her leg. So I stretched out her paws, because her foot was like this, and it wouldn't stretch out. Like, you couldn't stretch it. She couldn't stretch it out. So it was like this, and she was like limping on it. And she wasn't eating because she was literally defending herself. And if you know anything about chickens, and I don't know much, but this much I know, they forego eating over, oh, there you guys are. They forego eating over, I always get my husband to do this because I unfortunately suck at this crap. Okay, maybe that's better. They forego eating, sorry, squirrel. They forego eating over looking like everything is okay. So they put all their effort into making themselves look like everything is okay. So my husband's the one that noticed. We brought her, we did that. And after a week, her hand or paw or claw or foot was healed. It was healed. So I knew then that if you just give them a little bit of time, a little bit of energy, that they could literally, you know, have a really great chance of living a long, happy life. And they can produce things that I want. So I have to tell you, my eggs, they're the size of my hand. Like, my mother was absolutely shocked when she saw the size of my chicken eggs. Some of them are as big as, like they're bigger than some duck eggs. So I know that my chickens are happy, and I know that they are, they exist for me to benefit from them, but it's a symbiotic relationship. I give them the best life that they could possibly have in relation to other options, and they give me in return food that not only satiates me but keeps me healthy. So that was my morning. What else? We've had stormy weather for the last week or so, and I haven't really been able to come out because it's been so crazy. The last 2 videos I attempted to do, and I did do them, but I just unfortunately I come home, I'm all battered from the, and even though I'm in here, it was still very windy. So I decided, you know what, I'm not doing that. So I did a couple videos in the car, and so I've been kind of running away from the weather. But ironically, this weather gives me the time. Now, I was telling my mom this morning that I understand why Alan lived in a similar sort of environment. And the reason why is when you live in the city, you are forced into certain traps. And oh, that's a very good segue into what we're going to talk about today. You're forced into the trap of conformity, and you have to continue running, because it's kind of like, you know, when there's a stampede, if you do not run with the stampede, you'll get trampled. And I would equate that living in the city is almost indicative of falling into the stampede. And if you don't stampede with the herd, you either die being trampled or you get left behind. And it's very different than when you're in a environment where you're in nature and you're in a little tiny community. There's different rules by far. Like, I'm not saying that it's all, you know, peaches and cream, but it is different. You do have to get acquainted with certain nuances that are different than living in the city, right? Like I talk about, everything is so far away, and people don't get together that often, especially in the summer, for example. Whereas in the city, that's when you get together with everybody. That's when you have the pool parties. That's when you don't have these real life responsibilities. You have these manufactured responsibilities that keep you in the run of the stampede. Today, I was thinking of talking to you guys about some traps that are in our current society that I think have provided the situation we're in, I would argue, today. For example, like that we are in a place where we're on the precipice of WAR, where we are also on the precipice of having a civil WAR, where families have never been more divided, where social life has never been more difficult, whether I was speaking to one of my viewers, oh my goodness, shout out to Paul. Sorry if that was immature, but I'm so excited. Thanks for commenting. It's so difficult to socialize with people right now. And for example, dating. I need to talk. What the? I just saw a massive rabbit. Okay, I know that's like not that impressive, but he was literally so huge and he was booting it. So pretty. Sorry, I wish I caught that. Sorry. Oh my gosh, my heart. And because didn't look like Odie. Anyway, where was I? Oh, dating. I am going to do a talk on dating, and I just need to do a little bit more, what would be the word? Research and talking to my friends that are and have been dating. And I would like to compile their perspective so that I could, just because I'm married, I've been together with my husband over 33 years, and I can't even imagine, because I know the horror stories I've heard, but I've got to do a little bit more in-depth research so that I can speak to it with some degree of knowledge. But I would argue that these traps that we've been pigeonholed into are specifically designed. They're specifically designed to finally get us here. Because, for example, the very first trap that comes to my mind is kindergarten and middle school. So from the age that you're 4.5 to the age you're 15, I believe, or 16, let's just say, you're in school 7 to 8 hours a day, depending on your situation or your location in the world. You go into a classroom where you are taught to conform, where you are taught that if you are a higher nail than any other nail, you'll get hammered, where you are compared and ridiculed based on what you wear, what you think, how you answer, how you read, what you think is funny, what you don't think is funny. And you learn very quickly that in order to survive in this little chicken pen, you need to be as similar, or you need to stand out as little as possible. And the purpose that they say kindergarten, for example, and school in general is, so that you get an education. But I want you guys to really consider this, and I want you to consider it deeply. Education is not, and I repeat, not synonymous with knowledge. Knowledge is a completely different thing than education. Education is more synonymous with indoctrination. And education is a relaying of information by the government through its various networks of arms, which are teachers, to relay and train an obedient public based on their vision of what they want their public to be. So in the case of Canadians, we're polite, we're not invasive, we apologize for things that we shouldn't apologize for, we don't question a lot, and we obey rules, because that equals a good citizen. So when the government started devaluing our currency and devaluing the ability of one parent to go and work, and they liberated women, let's just go with that, and they opened up another source of income for them because women had to go to work and they were of course going to collect taxes from the women. They pulled them out of the home unit and they benefited from the women. At the same time, their children were being sent to an indoctrination babysitting camp where their values and beliefs would be different than their parents for the most part because the values were coming straight from the top, from our government. That we ironically pay for. So the parents that were going to work in Slavelandia paid for the indoctrination and subversion of their children that were going to the babysitting club. Okay? First trap. Another trap that basically goes one to the next is university and college. I've talked about this before in some of my other videos. University and college is basically a pay-to-play card. It's no longer learning how to think, how to discern, how to learn, how to write or operate. Yeah, okay, some of those things still exist. Far and few, I would argue. But most of the people going to universities have no business being there. And same goes for college. Most of those people are simply paying for a piece of paper, which I call the receipt. I always told my children, I guess you gotta go get the receipt because once you get the receipt, then you can get a job. And that's how it was for a really long time until we are now coming to such a saturation where there's so many incoherent human beings coming out of these institutions that even paying to play no longer works. They have exorbitantly inflated this institution of university and college that used to be actually a valuable thing to society at one point when doctors and lawyers and philosophers and mathematicians and surgeons and these kind of people were being pumped out. They weren't being pumped out in huge numbers like they are now because the university and college wasn't in itself the business. The business was to have functional human beings. That has been flipped and now it's a trap for the elites now to pump out very smart thinking dumb people. And I'm not saying everybody, and I'm not trying to be insulting, but I'm just saying it's a trap and you need to pay your way in order to get a job. And you have no guarantee that if you bet on the wrong horse, like for example, if you decide that you're gonna go and study for 4 years, what's a good one? Like let's say women's studies or the art of managing birds sitting on a tree. I don't know if there is such a thing, I'm just making it up. You won't get a job. You'll pay anywhere from 20 to 40,000, that's just in Canada, for your education. And you think you're going to be getting a job because you got a piece of paper, but you find out very quickly that you can't. In fact, my daughter just finished being a nutritionist, and guess what? I think I've talked about this in other videos. She still has to do a year. That will cost her another year of education because the 4 years that she did, say close to 40 grand, that was not enough anymore because it's so devalued that she needs another year in order to get a job that really will allow her to make some money. Doesn't it? If people don't start realizing that it's a money-making trap, not for us, but for the people that run this society, well, then what can I say? I'm just a little broad that's walking in the forest. What do I know? The other trap that we fall into, particularly when we are in the city and you don't have the ability to come out and walk and be immersed in nature and really feel what nature can do for you, because when you live in the city, or at least this was my experience, I did not enjoy walking. I really didn't enjoy walking. I tried it so many times and I did it so many times. Like I did do it, I forced myself, but it was forced. it wasn't enjoyable, and I didn't see the benefit. I didn't feel the benefits because, you've got cars driving by, you've got music, people with their big stereos, and I didn't really feel nature because nature had been long removed from the cities. Oh, you scared me! You scared me! You silly dog! You scared me. Okay, let's go. Holy crap, my heart jumped. And he's such a little shit. See, I was telling my mom, he always runs away, not runs away, but he's a bad boy when I'm talking to you guys because I'm not paying attention to him. But whenever I go for walks with him on any other day when I don't record, he never is out of my sight. Like, he's always walking right beside me. So it's funny. He's like a kid. When I used to be on the telephone when I had small children, they would do the crappiest, like they'd be little shits when I was on the phone because I was otherwise occupied. Speaking of the phone, another trap in the city is black mirrors. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about the television, whether it's the tube kinds with the tubes, whether it's flat screens, whether it's tablets, or whether it's cell phones. At this point, it's become so tiny. It started out that it was in your living room and people would stop going to the parks and people would stop socializing, and kids started less and less going out to the parks, and people were in front of the big televisions. And then it went to tablets, and they had these tablets and iPads, and now it's in your pocket all the time. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? It's for your attention. And everything that's happening in the world is because we lack attention. We have no more attention to give to the things that really matter, because the things that really matter are difficult to look at, and they require a lot of effort. They require a lot of effort to dig up, sit down, read about, understand, digest. That all takes time. And I realized when I had, this, and I find that I have less pressures on me, I'm able to really start understanding even deeper than before, because I've always been interested. I've been interested in this for over 25 years, but I've never been able to look so closely at it. But even just as a general broad overview, it takes some effort. And being stuck on now ever more like pervasive and addictive mirrors. They're black mirrors. They're considered black mirrors. That's how the elite consider them, because when they're off, they look like black mirrors, but then they turn on and come to life. Kind of like, in the movie, is it Snow White? I think it's Snow White, where it's like mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's, that witch says it. And it's really, really interesting that one thing that has evolved into this tiny little box that we can carry everywhere with Wi-Fi that basically you can reach out to anybody at any time, has quite literally made us addicts, dopamine addicts. And being a dopamine addict, it's very hard to come off of that high and now start reading a book, for example. We're being taken away from books. And I remember having this conversation with my best friend, and I said, because she said, by the time our kids, and this didn't happen, but it's true that it's happening. By the time our kids go to university, they're not going to be any textbooks. And I said to her, don't you think that's bad? Well, no, she didn't think it was bad. And I made the argument that if you don't have books, first of all, your brain responds very differently to a screen information being fed to you and reading. Your brain remembers differently, processes differently, and actually and there's nothing that's sort of behind the pages. It's just the page. It's stationary, and the way that your brain works, our brains are infiltrated through the screen. So one thing I don't like about this hat is you get all these fluffs in the middle of your face. So I apologize. So that has been the black mirrors, I would say, are one of the top traps that they have unleashed on the public to get us here. And the black screens, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but the black screens are one of the largest contributor, if not the contributor, to the divide that our whole world is experiencing right now. Without that step, without that trap, without figuring out how to get us on those black mirrors, I'd be willing to bet that we wouldn't be here. We'd be far, far behind on their plan of consolidating, well, just about everything. Really, if you look at it, it's just about everything. The other trap that I find our society falls into, and I find that this one is very, very much on the back of building on the back of college, university, and schools, because it's all related. Odin, we're gonna go here. Let's go. Let's go. Is careers. Careers is one of those fallacies that they have made us believe to give value and purpose to the slave labor industry. So they needed to make us believe that careers is what we really want. Careers is what elevates us. Careers is what gives us purpose. And the reason why that's important, I would argue, is because who the hell would otherwise get off their farm, go to school for, say, whatever amount of years to learn one thing so that they can make more money? They needed to get us on the money system. They needed to put us into the labor, institution or framework. And then they created careers, because there's winners and losers with careers, right? There's winners and losers. There's the real winners that are the bankers. And what are you doing? What are you doing? There's those winners. There's the movie stars. We'll touch on that soon. And it creates a hierarchy like the chickens. You have the people that make millions, and then you have the people that are scraping by. And when you show that careers create wealth that allow you to buy crap, that ends up being the metric of success. And not only that, it makes the common pleb, the common slave, look at me, I'm so cute. Yeah, I'm so cute. It perpetuates this lie, and it makes the plebs on the bottom, the commoners like you and me on the bottom, want to strive for that. How many things on YouTube do you have about making millions in a month, making trillions, making this so easy, and everybody chases the career? And I remember personally, when my cousin was still alive, being so upset with myself that I was always a support staff, whether I was helping run my dad's business or whether I was helping my husband run his business. I was always a supporting person. And you know, it creates a situation where everybody wants to run for the top. But if you look at a pyramid, the base is the largest. So there has to be supporting people, the most amount of supporting people at the bottom, right? Because the most important jobs are not done by the many, okay? The most tedious jobs for survival are done by the men. The most important jobs like, saving lives, for example, being a doctor or whatever. If you have too many doctors, then your society isn't going to run because not everybody's sick at the same time. It's kind of like having a liver. If you don't have a liver, you're fucked. Excuse my language. That came out. If you don't have a liver, you're in big trouble. But your liver, you only have one liver, right? You only have one liver to do the work of the whole body. Okay, the liver's a bad example because I'm taking that back. The liver's pretty big. Okay. Let's go with, okay, you need a heart. The heart's not huge. In comparison to the rest of your body, it's not that big. This is a much better example. You need a heart to survive. But if all of your organs were like a heart, you wouldn't be able to function. You wouldn't be able to walk because you wouldn't have hands. You wouldn't have your feet. Do all you need your feet for everything. Like I need my feet for everything I do in my life. Yet I take no care in my feet. I don't pay attention to my feet. It's like us the slave labor. If we're not there to fix the plumbing and feed the children and wash the dishes, it's a non-functioning society. But everybody wants to be at the top. But the top, only a very few people are needed. So that's another trap, careers. And I realized finally when I matured that I'm very functional. I am not niched in such a degree where I only know how to do one thing. I know a lot of friends that literally know how to do their career. And yeah, they know how to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They know how to clean and they know how to cook. But they don't really have any other skills besides those very specific skills. And I'm not saying all my friends, but there are many. And then there's a few that are so good at everything that they could do everything and they're still like hung up on careers. And a lot of people, another thing a lot of people are doing, which is a trap, is they're tying their whole essence, their whole being, their whole who they are in their career. And I kind of think I wouldn't want to do that because if I tied everything up in one career, in one niche, then I'll tell you what, if that ever dries up, and it looks like there's going to be a lot of things drying up, that's good. That could break somebody, right? Because they've worked all their life to, they've worked all their life to do this career, and all of a sudden something dries up, and then they're going to have a mental breakdown or whatever. Because we've been taught that careers are so important, right? All right. And I think those traps are interlinked specifically in order for them to be seamless, so nobody notices that we're in a scam, basically. Then another trap I thought of, and this one I thought of because of my mom, and it's the allure of the American dream. And I don't know if anybody catches. Oh, look at this kid. Yeah. What are you doing? I don't know if anybody catches any clue in the name. Woo! But the American dream is exactly that. It's a dream. And the amount of people, myself included, that have been fooled by this hook, by this carrot, and then beaten by the stick is, well, I would say primarily most people, even the people that get famous, and we'll get to those guys next. My mom, when she was a little girl, she lived in Poland and she lived with her grandma. That was very common in those days after the war. And my great-grandmother had family in America, and they used to send pictures. You know, the type with the white picket fence and semi-detached or a completely a side split detached home. It was just the American dream. And my mother would look at those albums and she would dream of going to America because that's where it was better. The grass is always greener on the other side. The catch is you never know how much water they need to keep it green. And if you ask my mom now, immigration was one of the single biggest regrets of her life. And that's because the American dream is just a dream. And when you finally wake up from it, it's generally too late. And that brings me into fame. That is very closely correlated with the American dream because the American dream sells this beautiful, glossy covered idea that if you just work hard enough, if you placate enough people, if you run enough, hard enough, if you outlast the next guy, you'll make it to the top. You'll make that dream come true. And every movie star repeats the same horseshit. Even though simultaneously most movie stars eventually also repeat that they have sold their soul to the devil, notwithstanding that there is admissions of major horrific endeavors of abuse, sexual and otherwise, and other abuses that, it finally happened. Look how gorgeous it is. I don't know, you can't see it that well in the video. Odie, isn't it beautiful? Look how beautiful it is. It's snowing. What? And I finally waited until so this is the quiet snow. This is what I call quiet snow. Because it's not blistering and blustering. I don't know which word is correct. And it's sunny and it's gently falling. Anyway, it's not aggressive. Back to movie stars and fame. If you did not bend to the abuses, you were not able, generally, for the most part, able to gain any kind of recognition. Because again, the trap is very clear. You work for us, you do what we say, you create the content we want, and the content is always, ladies and gentlemen, always created as a weapon against you and me. Hollywood is a code for culture creation. Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys know this, but Hollywood is named after the holly tree, which is the tree where wizard and witch, what are those called? Wands are made from, or what they're called something. They're not staffs. They're, oh my God, my English not so good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're like wands, right? Like witch wands, right? So Hollywood is a spell on you and me. I hope that you take that seriously because it's true. I mean, do your research. Don't listen to anything I say. But if I can be the person who just brings a little bit of curiosity for you to check. It's all that I can hope for. So fame has not only destroyed the lives of the people trying to obtain their dream. Of course they get famous, and of course they have millions of dollars, but they are probably some of the most unhappy, deformed inside, I mean, people that you're going to know or that you would ever meet. And that is a major trap. And most of us, luckily, don't fall into becoming famous and falling into that trap. But all the rest of us are caught in the web of this culture creation that Hollywood puts out. Look how beautiful it is. I can't wait to take you guys to the river. I can't get there now, but because as you can see, look at this. Oh, look how deep that is. It's all the way up to my knees. All the way up to my knees. Yeah, I'm actually happy that my husband cleared this for me. It's a lot easier to walk. Brands is another trap that we fall into that really ties in with fame, because fame pushes brands. Name brands are one of the most amazing and most profitable ways for companies and people that are our elites to make money on us on everyday products. So instead of buying a regular no-name brand shoe, they are able to capture 300 or 400 or 500 times more just because it has a symbol on it. And that symbol garnishes an extra 400 or 500% on something that they would have otherwise been only able to get a certain amount. And it would be finite, because if a pair of shoes costs $20, let's just, for argument's sake, say, they can sell that same product that's probably made in the same factory in China with the same products, but by adding that one couple of little extras on that shoe that's going to cost them an extra 5 cents, they are able to sell it for $200. Or in some cases, I had a friend who had a son who had a $500 pair of shoes, and that was during 2020. So that was still before inflation hit us real hard, because we've had inflations since, since before the 80s, because we came off the gold standard in 71. So inflation started, inflation just went through the roof, and it's been going through the roof. We felt it a lot quicker now because it's been exponentially expanding, because we're at the end of a cycle. And I've talked about that before. Brands. And then simultaneously that goes back to careers, because then you need a better career that gets you more money, less time with your family, more money, so you can get these $500 shoes because they have a symbol on them. Only people can be so stupid. That's all I'm going to say. Because if you want to pay for a name just because it's a name, I don't know what else to call anybody. Like, I don't know what to call you. If you just need a pair of shoes, and of course, okay, if you like this or if you like that, that's one thing. But generally, you fall in like with something because Hollywood has twisted you in such a way that that is a better product just because it has a little whoosh on it, or a little N on it, or a little S on it. Think about it. It's absolutely absurd. And the last thing that I have kind of thought of as a trap is, trigger alert, voting. Voting is an absolute trap. And the reason why I thought of this is yesterday I had one of my local politicians, actually he's not local, he just, Doug Ford And do we have your support? And you know what my answer to them was? Sorry, I don't participate in this dog and pony show. The woman got offended, maybe rightfully so. And I said, no, I don't participate in this dog and pony show, because voting is almost as big of a con as currency, as going to work and working for pieces of paper and not actually producing anything of value. Because truly, does it really matter if you push 400 pieces of paper from one side to the next of your desk? It really matters if you have eggs. It really matters if you go pick those eggs up every morning in weather like this, because if you don't, your family's not going to eat. And I understand that most families don't have chickens, but why? Because we've been put into these traps that we've just discussed. That's my belief. And voting is only given to us so that we think, just like in sports, we think we're participating in a sport because we go and see a game, because we can yell at the television with beers in our hands. You are doing absolutely no such thing, ladies and gentlemen. When you are participating in a sport, you're on the field, you're sweating, and you are running after a ball or after whatever it is that you're running after. A sport is to be enjoyed. It's lost its meaning when you do it behind a screen. Voting is the same thing. Can you vote Trudeau out? Nobody wants Trudeau in Canada. Nobody. And yet, he's the one that decides if he's going to step down. You think voting has something to do with it? You think that you have anything to say besides vote? And you vote, and so what? You vote and what? And what, anything changes? Everything stays the same. If anyone can argue that when they vote, they make a change, and what those changes were, you let me know. But the agenda is going. The 51st state was on the plan, on the books, way before Donald Trump said anything. And now all of a sudden we're talking about the 51st state. You think that that's just by accident, people? It's not. And Alan Watt, and I don't know if he read this or I'm pretty sure he read this from one of the books that he referred to, which he referred to so many books. If voting did anything for the people, it would be made illegal. And that's the truth. Voting was developed, and this is a fact, in order to give the people the illusion of having something to say and participate in the legal framework of the government so they wouldn't revolt. Now, it has accomplished that for the last, 100 years. But that's coming to an end because now they're agitating and they're making it obvious that it's not working, and a lot more people are waking up to the fact that it is not a thing that is working for the common man. It just isn't. Yeah. So I don't know what you think about those traps. If you have any other traps that you think that have gotten us to this point in history. And I'm telling you, my assessment of these thoughts is that without these traps, without these things in place, we would not at all be where we are today, because they couldn't line things up the way that they have so perfectly if we didn't have all of these things in place and more. I'm sure I've missed some. That was just sort of this was my preliminary list of traps. If you guys can think of any others, I really would appreciate you adding them, and then I'll do another video talking about that. But look at how pristine that is. Oh, look at that. The sunshine, the little things that glisten. You know, there's nothing more than the beauty of snow. I mean, if you can enjoy the beauty of the diamond, reflections in the snow, it's it's a gift from God. God is the most beautiful artist. He really is. He has done such a beautiful job in this beautiful world that we're in. And you know what, as humans, if we don't start talking more and understanding how we got here, if we just don't start deciphering this, it's going to be too late soon, because Mr. Muskie and Mr. Trump card are really look like they are the end game people. But that's just my stupid opinion. You know, just a thorny thought or two, and it's up for debate and it's up for discussion. That's what I'm inviting people to. I'm inviting people to the discussion, to the table of talks. And I see right now the woodpecker. Sir, get away! Stupid woodpecker comes and steal my seeds. I mean, I know I guess he's a bird too, but that's not a feeder for a woodpecker. He's destroying it. Anyways, if you haven't I would appreciate if you got this far, and you know, what's the word? And if I invoked any kind of thoughts or discussion points, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. And if not, then, well, maybe the next talk will be better for you, better suited. And yeah, a thumbs up would also be nice. I kind of don't like saying that. Maybe there's another way of kind of asking without, like, maybe I could put it on the screen or something, but I'm just having a hard time saying goodbye. I never know how to do it. I keep saying this, like, this is one thing I'm stuck at, but I'll get there. I'll get there. With every video, I hopefully will get better and better at relaying my thoughts and my opinions. And that's right. So as what he said, I guess, enjoy wherever you are in the world. I hope that your weather is warmer, but just as sunny and beautiful. And until the next video, until we meet again. Mwah. I know this is jarring. You thought you were at the end of my video. Break. But unfortunately, I can't put it there. Obviously, I can't put it there. I'll see this. See, I obviously can't. Outside, come on. Come on. Oh, poor guy. He thinks it's for him. Obviously, you guys thought it was the end of the video, but you were incorrect. The problem with, look at this. I need to get another one of these little stupid sticks because I've been fighting with this thing all day. The one thing, it's afternoon. Hi, girls. And I've had a whole day. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. And I forgot a certain point. And that's what happens when you shoot from the hip. So I thought I would come out and just quickly tell you another fact, that there's one more trap. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Come on. Come on. That's right. Come on, girls. Come on. Come on. I don't really like the pumpkin I gave them this morning. But, I guess I'm going to knock it out. Come on. Doesn't want to come out. So, one more thing I just realized that is also a trap. And it has been many times in history, and it was in the 1800s, but they didn't have contraceptives and it just became a disaster with orphans. Then there was the 70s, but in the 70s they came up with this wonderful, effective way of getting rid of the unwanted children, mainly And now, the trap of hypersexualization has been perfected, as it were. We have been hypersexualized. Our society is hypersexualized in a manner where everybody is doing everybody else, and there's no worries about children. In fact, having children at this point is starting to be a little bit of a problem, because there's a lot of people having problems having children when they finally sit down and I mean, what happened? What happened? It was a false alarm. Come on, beep 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 beep. Somebody set off a false alarm. I have like 5 roosters and they get hyper vigilant. Sometimes false alarms happen. You saw that. But back to hypersexualization. What they have done is, it's brilliant, actually. This is a really big factor. Outside of the Black Mirror, I would say this is the second, I don't know how I forgot it. Second most important thing to do is hypersexualize a society, especially if you hypersexualize young children in grade school. Back to kindergarten, we're going all the way around to a full circle. So now they are hypersexualizing kindergartners and grade 1s, where they're discussing sex when children technically don't even really, okay, relax. When children technically aren't, worried about sex at that age. They're hypersexualizing the children. Okay. Yeah, I know. I can't talk with you guys here. You guys are rude. Anyway, and just gonna step out here because if they see me, it's okay, but it's so loud in there. And hypersexualization is a science. And whether or not people believe me, I mean, I don't expect anybody to believe anything that comes out of my mouth. You should be checking these things yourself. There was tons of There's tons of experiments that they have done in the past on children when they hypersexualize them. And control is the mechanism. And I don't know if you've noticed the debauchery surrounding sex. There are women, let's call them women, and men that are making millions and millions of dollars on TikTok and Instagram and all those platforms, basically competing about how many bodies they have. Now, this term, how many bodies they have, allegedly is how many people they have, boinked. And although that should be a private matter, not only withstanding the fact that they're competing about who has the most intercourse with men or women. I mean, Andrew Tate is a prime example of this hypersexualization and this debauchery of the sexual condition. And if you ever watch the movie Idiocracy, and I'm telling you, I know this sounds crazy, but movies are almost like a prelude to the future. In the movie Idiocracy, the way that they debauch and completely bring the society down is through one main thing, which is focusing on sexualizing the society to a complete to such a complete extent that people get so dumbed down that they don't even know how to take care of children. They don't know how to do anything. I mean, watch the movie. It's really, really maybe not as accurate as it is, foretelling. I'm sure there's going to be differences in the way that it's going to be. It's not absolute, but it gives you an idea as to what is going to happen if the society continues to have sex with anyone at any time. It's increasing divorces, which is another trap. But I do think that, of course, there's a time and place for divorce. If you're in a seriously abusive relationship, then yeah. But if it's not working for you or you're bored, shame on you. You've just fallen into a trap. But sexualization is another trap, and I don't want to extend any, real time on it because I finished the video, it was like 50 some odd minutes. So anyway, I thought that I would put that out there and finish the video like this. Anyways, mwah.